It's the 22nd of April, and this upload, as a continuation from yesterday, is with regard to self development advice and guidelines that I've learned from over a decade of work. So basically, the matters that I'm discussing are just topics that I've had to use and that have helped me along the way amongst the challenges that life throws in our way. So, the first little piece of advice is that with regard to recovering from any obstacles or challenges, or with regard to any experiences, all these matters are relative. There is identification from others, there's empathy from others, but everyone's experience is subjective. And critics that aren't exactly qualified, and critics that are very skeptical and very unhelpful in their opinions, are real challenges to some people with regard to how they affect the peace of mind of a person. So, in my particular circumstances at the moment, it would be societal obstacles, human rights abuses, and health matters. 15 years ago, it was just a matter of maturation. So basically, everyone's experiences are different. And whenever coming out of a difficult experience, it's always helpful to have structure. Structure is not always so easy. Structure is a challenge for some people. Some people have difficulties with procrastination, difficulties attaining what they need to get what they want done. Other people mightn't feel motivated. There's different little obstacles that might obstruct along the way, but structure is always helpful. So structure can just be as simple as getting up at a fixed time, having a lunch at a fixed time, and having a meal at a fixed time. A structure could then be incorporated into having more tasks throughout the day, gradually or incrementally introduced. So it's always advised not to try too much too soon. The other matter is that other individuals might not have a daily structure that they might feel comfortable with. They might be variable. They might like intermittent or alternate different activities at different stages of the week or the month or whenever they feel comfortable. So the simple structure would be our 3 meals a day. The simple structure would be having a fixed rising time and a fixed rest time. So that's just a simple structure, gradually increased when a person feels strong enough. And the thing about structure is that when laying the foundations of structure, it's very important when recovering from any experience not to challenge or push yourself too much. Sometimes we can be too ambitious, over ambitious, and we tend to tackle the world and we cause ourselves an awful load of bother. So it's just as wise to be keeping it simple, as they say, keeping it simple and simplifying to make a difficult matter more manageable. So structure, as I've mentioned, is different for everyone. Even just as I've mentioned, a simple routine. These are simple ideas, nothing too complex, but for young people that might have challenges, it's always helpful just to have someone from experience sharing what they have learned from when recovering or for attainment purposes when achieving a goal. So the next matter I'm going to talk about is self-talk. There's positive self-talk and there's negative self-talk. The exterior world can be very negative and can be very disparaging and very disruptive. So it's very difficult to tune out to other people's disruption when they are very, either intrusive or very discourteous. So mantra and mindfulness is very, very important when people are disrespectful of your personal space. And when people don't respect your personal space, they are the people that you do not respect in your sphere of experience. You do not permit them into your sphere of experience, and you do not tolerate them in your sphere of experience. And there are people that step over boundaries and that do not respect limitations and that affect mental awareness when being critically discourteous, when being inaccurate, or when assuming, or when they aren't productive to your self-growth or your self-healing process. So the important matter is with boundaries, and not even just in conversation, but in proximity and in presence. People that impose on your experience and that are disrespectful and harmful to you are people that you do not have to tolerate. That's why we have laws. So when people are affecting your self-talk, mindfulness is always helpful, and it's not always easily achieved. The obvious one that everyone is aware of is what you say to yourself. What you tell yourself about yourself is what you believe. What others tell you about yourself that isn't helpful to your self-growth and that doesn't describe you or identify you as the person that you are not messages that you need to listen to or need to tolerate. So those people that might offer unhelpful, inaccurate messages to you about your identity without any experience are not people you have to listen to. What you have to listen to is what you believe in yourself about. So affirming to yourself your positive traits and characteristics and what you hope to achieve is helpful. The practice of such, they say 28 days to form a habit, or to make it apparent or productive for you. So daily practices about what you hope to attain is what you need to, what is the message that you need to tell your neurotransmitters. And that has an effect on your endorphins, and that has an effect on your bodily sensations and your mental well-being. A lot of people have their own personal choice about how they intend to feel, and nutrition obviously affects how you feel. So if you want to feel positive, the Mediterranean diets and the oil diets are fabulous, as opposed to anything artificial or anything other than that. So that's all personal choice. Everyone's situation is very different, and all different circumstances require different remedies. So it's all rated, it's all relative. So with regard to self-talk, it's about your level of self-awareness and knowing yourself. To thine own self be true, to thine own self be true, and know thyself. And you, as an adult, and a young adult or an old adult, old caliber of society, have your own characteristics that you're aware of, and you know yourself, what you're interested in and what you want to become. So know yourself, and basically anyone that tells you otherwise about how you are a positive person with positive traits, any put downs or anything negative from an exterior zone that intrudes upon your personal space or experience are red flags straight away. And the importance is to know those red flags and when to run away, get out of the ring, and don't even entertain people that have been disparaging, disrespectful, or discourteous. So that's self-talk. Self-talk, there is moments. I suggest everyone have at least 30 minutes at the start of the day and 30 minutes at night, or even minimize it to just 30 minutes throughout the day when you are entitled or in a justified manner or fashion to be critical. Everyone has justifiable grounds for any little bit of criticism with regard to any matters. So try to limit it to at least 30 minutes or 15 minutes per day and not to dwell on it. As I said yesterday, it's all about selfishness, not to the extent of egotistical and narcissistic without any consideration, but it is selfish to look after oneself and protect oneself from parasites. Sometimes they're called parasites, sometimes they're just called menaces, sometimes they're just called unhelpful, and sometimes they're just called, a personal choice that you don't want to interact with. So that's basically all I need to share today about structure and self-talk. And it's all very simple, but it's all very helpful. And anyone stepping over boundaries that has not respected your personal space or your identity, and that has in any way affected you as a human being, are persona non grata. We don't have to tolerate people trampling or intruding upon us and thinking that they are more in authority than our own self-autonomous being. Those that have no respect for human beings' privacy or mentality or well-being are not favourable choices for anybody. So it's all relative. Everyone's experience is different. It's not advisable to push oneself or challenge oneself too much too soon. And it's always helpful just to be gentle with oneself whenever recovering from a setback or a challenge or an obstacle. And at the end of the day, always be grateful for anything you've accomplished, and sometimes even just put it down on a list. What 5 great things did I do today that I'm really chuffed with myself about? And what 5 great things tomorrow am I going to achieve? And gradually, when doing it within 24 hours, start setting it to a longer time scale of a week or a month or a year time frame or an annual time frame. So that's all I'm going to share with you today. All very little simple tips, and I hope they're helpful and useful. And that's that.